Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 1, Unit 3 in-class review. Remember to show all your work and to write your final answers on the line. Now, if you don't know some of these formulas, this would be perfect to write on that 3x5 note card that you get for your final. So, first thing we need to know is point-slope form. Okay, point-slope form is y minus y1 equals your slope times x minus x1. Okay, and remember y1 and x1 is just your point that you're plugging into. Slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You can use that when they give you a slope and a point. Remember that parallel lines have the same exact slope. And perpendicular lines have opposite, which we're talking about plus or minus here, guys. And so it's opposite and reciprocal slopes. Okay? And reciprocal means that you have to flip. All right, let's go through some problems. It tells us to write an equation in point slope form for the line described. A line of a slope of -3 that passes through the point -1, -9. Okay? So we are writing point slope form. We are not solving this. Okay? So we just follow the y minus y1 and we start plugging things in. Okay? So I need my slope. My slope is right there, so my slope is -3. Okay, remember what is your x and what is your y and where those go. Now, subtracting a negative, we can't have that sign there. Okay? If we're putting down a negative, we're going to no double signs. We're saying that's +1. Okay? Same thing with the 9. It's a negative, so I'm just going to put +9. Now, when you write it down, if you have it written like this first, and then change it to this, that's fine. Just know that that is the final answer. Okay? Okay. Now for 2, we're doing the same thing. Okay? They still are talking about point slope form. The only difference now is it said a line parallel. Parallel means it has the exact same slope, so I have to steal the slope. Okay? So that's where we get -2/7 from. And remember which one's your x and which one's your y. Okay? So your y is 5. And since that's -2, I'm just going to say that that's +2. Okay. Now, the next part says write an equation of a line in slope intercept form. Okay, so slope intercept form, which is the y equals mx plus b for the line described. Now I know oh, actually we're good. Now you might think about it, well, they give me a slope and they give me a line or a point right here. There's not enough room to put all this in and solve. Well, that's because right here, this is your y-intercept. That's the b. Okay, only because it's got this 0 right here. Okay, so we can right away say y equals 3/5 x minus 1. There's no real work for number 3. That was a tricky one. All right, so number 4. Here we go. Now we have to solve, okay? Our slope, it tells you the slope is -1/4 x, okay? Our x is -8, so that changes to a +8, and our y is 3, okay? So the first thing we need to do is distribute. -1/4 x And negative 1/4 times 8 is negative 2. Okay, we're not done yet because the y is not by itself. We have to add 3 to both sides. And then you get your final answer of y equals negative 1/4 x plus 1. Okay, so y equals negative 1/4 x plus 1. Make sure to write your answers on the line. Okay, a line through the point for negative 1 and is perpendicular to a slope of 2. So if it's 2, I want the opposite reciprocal. Well, if this is positive, my new one's going to be negative, and I want the reciprocal, so I have to flip it. So 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top. That is our new slope. Okay? And now that we have our new slope, we just plug it into the formula and solve. Our slope is negative 1/2, 4, negative 1. So that changes to a positive. And then it's the same thing, okay? We distribute first. Y plus 1 stays the same. You get negative 1/2 x. And a negative times a negative is a positive. Half of 4 is 2. Get the y by itself, subtract 1 to both sides, and we get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. Okay, number 6. A line that passes through 10, negative 12, and negative 6, 4. Well, all they did was give me 2 points. I need a slope. You do need a slope. And that's why we're going to use the slope formula, okay? Remember, your x's or your y's go on the top, so 4 minus 12, and your x's go on the bottom, negative 6 minus 10. Okay, on the top we can do click click. 4 plus 12 is 16. Negative 6 minus 16 is negative 16. And 16 divided by negative 16, that gives us a slope of negative 1. Okay, so our slope is negative 1, and now we just pick a point. It doesn't matter. You can use either one and you can get the right answer. I'm going to do the one with the smaller numbers. Okay, so I know negative 6 comes, that's my x, and then 4. So let's go ahead and distribute. You get negative 1x minus 6. And then we have to add the 4 to both sides. And we get y equals negative 1x minus 2. And remember, when you write your final answer, you do not have to put that one there. I'm going to make those a little closer together though. So y equals negative x minus 2. Okay, write an equation for each line described. Note, they're not asking for the slope, they want the equation. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure, if we're going to write an equation, we need to know what the slope is. So we got negative 4 and negative 4. And negative 5 and 9. Now on the top, you can do click click. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Negative 5 minus 9 is negative 14. But if my slope is 0, that means I have a horizontal line, which means it's a y equals graph. It's just y equals a number. So let's look at what y equals. Oh, y equals negative 4 because it's the same number. Okay, If you notice that right away, you can skip through the answer. Okay? Now, once again, let's figure out what our slope is. Got -3 and 4, and -7 and -7. Click on the bottom. On the top, -3 minus 4 is -7, and -7 plus 7 is 0, which means that this is undefined slope, which is a vertical line, which means it's an x equals. Okay, and some of you might have been right off the back like, hey, Mr. Grice, I noticed there's two -7s where the x is at, so that must mean, sorry, that it's x equals -7 graph. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. Now we got some word problems. It says write an equation. We want this in slope-intercept form for the situation described. Okay? Just remember, here's a nice note. You could put this on your note card, that the word each and per equal your slope. Okay? So Marcelo has a starting balance of $1,500 in his savings account. He withdraws or spends $200 each week for expenses. Let Y represent Marcelo's account balance and let X represent the number of weeks, okay? So this is important right here. X represents the number of weeks. So if this is our starting balance, okay, no time has passed because X is your time, the number of weeks. He's starting with 1,500 right there. If he's starting at 0.15, that's his y-intercept, guys. Okay? And if he spends or withdraws, is he making money or losing money? He's losing money. So it's -20x. Remember, x is the number of weeks. And he's starting with a positive $1,500. Now, how would it change if he was saving 20 bucks a week instead of withdrawing it? So here he is spending. If he was gaining it, it would be just the opposite. Okay? So instead of spending money, he's saving it. And what's the difference with our slope? The slope would be positive. They're making you think here, guys. Make sure that your thinking cap is on. Okay, number 10 says a company charges a flat fee to ride a taxi plus 35 cents per mile. Aubrey rode the taxi for 6 miles and paid a total of $9.10. Write an equation that models the cost of riding a taxi, y, in terms of miles traveled. So they told us the slope. The slope was where we used the word per, and that was 0.35. Now, they gave you another point, or they gave you a point because there are two numbers there, 6 miles and 910. So we need to know an x and a y. And they tell you right here that x is your miles and y is the cost. Okay? So that's where we're going to get these numbers from, okay? 6 and 9, 10. So we've got a point and a slope. We just use the point slope formula. Let's see, we got 9, 10. Sorry, that's kind of small. I'll rewrite that. Okay, 6, and then we got to put our slope of 0.35. Okay. Zero 0.35, sorry. So go ahead and distribute. 6 times 0.35 gives us $2.10. And then to solve, we have to add that 910 to the other side, and we get that y equals 0.35x, sorry, I forgot the x there, plus $7. Okay? So I mean 35 cents per mile, and then it's $7 just to get into the taxi. That's what that plus 7 means. Okay? And number 11, it said Noel started working out and eating healthy in order to lose weight. After 5 weeks of working out, he weighed 235. Okay. After 12 weeks of working out, he weighed 214 pounds. Write an equation to model Noel's weight loss. Let X represent the number of weeks. So X is the number of weeks, and Y represents his total weight. Okay. So once again, I'm just going to write down X equals weeks and Y equals weight. So they gave us 2 points. Okay, the first one is in the green. They told us 5 weeks and he weighed 235 pounds. So 5 is your weeks, 235 is your pounds. Okay, and now in the gray, we've got 12 weeks and 214 pounds. Like, Mr. Grice, how do I make an equation out of this? Well, the first thing we need is the slope. Okay, we know how to find your slope. Okay, you put your y's on the top, 214 and, oops, 235, and you put your x's on the bottom, 12 and 5. Okay, so when we do this, 214 minus 235, well, that gives us 21 and negative 21, sorry. And 12 minus 5, well, 12 minus 5 is 7. And when we're done, we get our slope is negative 3. So now that we know what our slope is, we pick a point, pick the one with the smaller numbers or whichever ones you want to work with. I'm just going to do the first point that they give us. Okay. So I'm plugging in our slope of negative 3, and then X is your weeks, and then Y is the 235. And let's solve. So you distribute the negative 3, and you get Y minus 235 equals negative 3X plus 15. Okay, to get the Y by itself, we add 235. And then we get Y equals negative 3X plus 250. And that is our final answer. That is the equation. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, if you need any extra help, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, that's it for Algebra 1, Unit 3, Semester 1 review. Thanks for watching.